The fates of the sons of Guderian, Paulus, Keitel, Manstein, and Dönitz after the war. It is a well-known fact that the Soviet High Command did not strive to shield its children from the horrors of war. The sons of marshals who reached conscription age were invariably sent to the front, and Konstantin Rokossovsky's daughter also took a direct part in the hostilities. In this regard, a quite reasonable question arises. How did the highest military ranks of the Third Reich act in similar circumstances? What fate awaited the descendants of Hitler's generals after the capitulation of Germany and the end of World War II? It is important to note and remember that the German military leaders mentioned in this video are war criminals, many of whom received deserved punishment by the Nuremberg Tribunal. The material presented is purely informative and does not justify the crimes of the Nazi regime. Subscribe to our channel, like this video, and click the bell so you don't miss new exciting stories about World War II and learn about the different points of view that existed among the participants in those tragic events. Your comments and feedback are very important to us. The three sons of Wilhelm Keitel. Field Marshal Wilhelm Keitel, chief of the High Command of the Wehrmacht, had three sons: Karl, born in 1914, Ernst, born in 1915, and Hans, born in 1919. All three chose a military career, became officers, and participated in World War II. However, their life paths turned out completely different, reflecting all the drama and unpredictability of wartime. The youngest of the brothers, Hans-Georg Keitel, a lieutenant of artillery, died heroically on the Eastern Front at the very beginning of Hitler's invasion of the Soviet Union in July 1941. Death overtook him as a result of fatal shrapnel wounds during a massive Soviet air raid on the forward positions of German troops. The middle son, Ernst Wilhelm Keitel, attained the rank of major and held the responsible position of Chief of Staff of the 563rd Grenadier Division. This division was surrounded in the infamous Courland Pocket and was forced to surrender on May 9, 1945, the day the Great Patriotic War ended. Ernst Wilhelm made a desperate attempt to avoid capture, but, unfortunately, was captured by Soviet troops. He spent many years in prisoner-of-war camps until 1955, after which he was repatriated to the Federal Republic of Germany. Alas, he was destined to live only 1 year in freedom. The fate of the eldest of the brothers, Karl-Heinz Keitel, turned out most favorably. He began his military service in the Wehrmacht in 1934, choosing the cavalry. By 1944, he was already commanding the Nord Cavalry Regiment. After the regiment was defeated by Soviet airborne troops under the command of General Zwickau, Karl-Heinz transferred to the Waffen-SS Cavalry Division, Maria Theresia. This division was defeated by the Red Army in the bloody battles for Budapest. In February 1945, at the height of the war, SS Obersturmbannführer, Lieutenant Colonel Karl-Heinz Keitel, took command of the Waffen-SS Cavalry Division, Florian Geyer. He managed to make a difficult and dangerous breakthrough with the remnants of his division to Austria, where he ultimately surrendered to American troops. During the post-war denazification process, Karl-Heinz avoided prosecution and lived a relatively quiet life in West Germany, dying in 1968. The two sons of Karl Dönitz, both sons of Grand Admiral Karl Dönitz, Klaus, born in 1920, and Peter, born in 1922, decided to continue the family tradition and became naval officers, dedicating their lives to service in the fleet. Peter Dönitz, with the rank of lieutenant, served as a watch officer on the submarine U-954. On May 19, 1943, this submarine was attacked and destroyed by depth charges from two British ships in the North Atlantic, near the symbolically named Cape Farewell. The entire crew of the submarine, including Peter Dönitz, tragically perished in this battle. Klaus Dönitz, also holding the rank of lieutenant, served on the torpedo boat S-141. After the death of his brother, he exercised his legal right. A special law was in effect in the Kriegsmarine, according to which, in the event of the death of all the sons of a senior officer, the last survivor was released from further military service and entered medical school, striving to acquire a civilian profession. However, fate decreed otherwise. On May 13, 1944, deciding to celebrate his birthday aboard a familiar torpedo boat in the company of former colleagues, Klaus went to sea on a combat mission. As a result of a tragic combination of circumstances, the boat was attacked and sunk by a British destroyer. Klaus Dönitz died along with his comrades. The son of Erich von Manstein, the younger son of Field Marshal Erich von Manstein, Rüdiger von Manstein, born in 1929, could not participate in World War II due to his young age. The elder son, Garo Erich Sylvester von Manstein, born in 1922, immediately after graduating from the cadet school, driven by patriotic feelings and a desire to defend his homeland, voluntarily joined the ranks of the Wehrmacht. His regiment participated in the attack on the Soviet Union from the very first days of the war. In the summer of 1941, Garo showed exceptional courage and selflessness, carrying a wounded scout from the battlefield under heavy enemy fire. For this heroic act, he was awarded the Iron Cross and promoted to non-commissioned officer. In the autumn of the same year, Garo entered officer training school and 6 months later returned to the Eastern Front, already with the officer rank of lieutenant. Unfortunately, his military career was tragically short. On October 29, 1942, Garo von Manstein was killed by an exploding bomb. The two sons of Friedrich Paulus, the sons of Field Marshal Friedrich Paulus, commander of the 6th Army surrounded at Stalingrad, also took part in World War II. Both rose to the rank of Hauptmann, captain. Friedrich Paulus Jr. died in February 1944 during the fierce fighting of the Anzio Nettuno Allied operation in Italy. Ernst Alexander Paulus served in the Wehrmacht's tank forces. His unit was part of the ill-fated 6th Army under the command of his father and participated in the Battle of Stalingrad. However, Ernst Alexander himself managed to avoid the tragic fate of the German soldiers surrounded at Stalingrad. He was seriously wounded in September 1942 and after a long treatment was discharged, never returning to the front. In August 1944, after Friedrich Paulus, while in Soviet captivity, made a public appeal to the German people, calling for the overthrow of Adolf Hitler, Ernst Alexander was arrested by the Gestapo on the direct orders of the Führer. He spent many months in prison until the spring of 1945, when he was liberated by the advancing Allied forces. After his father's death, Ernst Alexander devoted himself to preserving his memory, preparing for publication Friedrich Paulus's memoirs entitled I Stand Here by Order, which were published in 1960. In 1970, the life of Ernst Alexander Paulus ended tragically. He committed suicide. To this day, the true reasons that prompted him to take this desperate step remain a subject of speculation and are not fully understood. The two sons of Heinz Guderian, both sons of Colonel General Heinz Guderian, one of the leading theorists and practitioners of tank warfare, who held the key positions of Inspector General of Armored Troops and Chief of the General Staff of the Army, also, like their father, dedicated their lives to service in the tank forces. The younger son, Kurt Guderian, rose to the rank of Hauptmann, captain, and served in the 25th Panzer Division. This division, part of the famous Afrika Korps under the command of Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, took an active part in the fighting in North Africa. After the defeat of German troops in the North African campaign, the 25th Panzer Division was transferred to the Eastern Front. In April 1945, in the last days of the war, the division retreated to Austria, where it surrendered to American troops. After the end of World War II, Kurt Guderian emigrated with his family to the United States of America, starting a new life on another continent. The elder son, Heinz Günther Guderian, began his military career in the Wehrmacht in 1933. 2 years later, in 1935, he received his first officer rank, lieutenant. Heinz Günther commanded a tank company during the Polish and French campaigns, where he was twice wounded, showing courage and bravery. On the Eastern Front, he participated in key battles, such as the battles near Kiev and Kursk, as well as in the advance on Astrakhan. In 1943, Heinz Günther received the rank of Oberstleutnant, lieutenant colonel, and was appointed to the important position of chief of the operational department of the division headquarters. He was nominated 3 times for the Knight's Cross, which he finally received in October 1944 for outstanding combat merit displayed during the fighting in Normandy. The division in which Heinz Günther served surrendered to Allied forces in April 1945 in the Ruhr pocket. After the war, Heinz Günther Guderian lived in the Federal Republic of Germany. With the creation of the Bundeswehr in 1956, he returned to military service, retaining his former rank. 10 years later, like his illustrious father, he took the position of Inspector of Armored Troops, continuing the family tradition. Heinz Günther retired with the rank of Major General, having lived a long and eventful life. He died in 2004 at the age of 90. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave your comments under this video, give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new releases. Click the bell to receive notifications about new video releases. Your support is very important to us.